Dark Triad is the art of wielding charm, cunning, and cruelty as tools of power when virtue alone cannot secure victory. And it is through this art that one may come to see how humanity, for all its noble pretenses, bends most readily to those who can manipulate its weaknesses, while cloaking their ambition with the appearance of necessity. And so I will speak plainly. For in the realm of power it is never sufficient to merely understand principles. One must embody them with a force that bends circumstance to will. And here lies the significance of these three blades: narcissism, Machiavellianism, and psychopathy, each sharp in its own way, each dangerous alone yet infinitely more potent when wielded together with precision. And to ignore their usefulness is to remain unarmed in a battlefield where others are armed, where morality may soothe the soul but rarely protects the body or the throne. And so let us begin with narcissism, which men too often dismiss as vanity, when in truth it is the golden mask that conceals ambition. For who rises without the love of the people, who commands without admiration, and who can hold loyalty without the magnetism that makes others see in him a reflection of what they secretly desire to become? For the narcissist intoxicates others with his confidence, draws them into his orbit, and persuades them that to serve him is to partake in his glory. And though his flaw is that he may believe his own illusions too deeply, this very flaw can still become strength. For belief, whether true or false, moves men more effectively than truth alone. And when combined with skill, it transforms a simple man into a figure larger than life, one who can manipulate perception to shape reality itself. And yet admiration alone is brittle, like glass, easily shattered by failure or scandal. And this is why charm must be reinforced by cunning, the trait that bears my own name. For Machiavellianism is the silent architect of power, the invisible hand that arranges alliances, sets traps, conceals motives, and manipulates appearances. For in politics, business, and war, the one who sees 5 moves ahead governs the board while others still marvel at the last play. And though people praise honesty, it is deception that most often secures survival. For men are simple and governed more by appearances than truth, and he who controls appearances rules them as a shepherd rules sheep. And so the Machiavellian does not reveal his heart, he conceals it behind a veil of necessity, persuading others that what benefits him is also their destiny. And in this lies the genius of manipulation. To make men act against their own interest while believing they act for their own good. And thus cunning becomes the spine of power, ensuring that vanity does not collapse under scrutiny, and cruelty does not provoke rebellion. For cruelty, though feared, is indispensable. And here we come to psychopathy, which many consider the most dangerous of the three. For it is the coldness of heart that allows one to strike when others hesitate, to silence pity, to remain calm amidst chaos, and to take without remorse what the timid could never grasp. And though society condemns such ruthlessness, it secretly admires those who embody it effectively. For history crowns the bold, not the meek, and in the chronicles of kings, generals, and captains of industry, it is not the gentle who are remembered, but the relentless who impose their will despite opposition. Yet let us not mistake recklessness for ruthlessness, for the psychopath's true strength lies not merely in violence or cruelty, but in freedom from fear, from doubt, from hesitation, and it is this freedom that allows him to do what others dare not. And when directed by cunning and cloaked in charm, it becomes an unstoppable force. For what can stand against one who draws loyalty through magnetism, bends strategy through deception, and enforces rule with decisive cruelty? And yet even as I describe this triad of traits, I must remind you that their value is not in excess but in balance. For a man consumed only by narcissism becomes ridiculous, blinded by self-delusion. One ruled only by cunning becomes paralyzed, forever scheming but never acting. And one enslaved to psychopathy becomes destructive, burning what he seeks to rule. But when united, when tempered, when governed by reason, these three form an arsenal that allows one to rise where others fall, to hold where others lose, and to secure what others only dream of. And now let us turn to how these forces move not only in thrones and palaces, but in the very fabric of modern life. For you must not imagine that princes and generals alone wield such traits. For in the age of commerce, the Dark Triad is alive in the executive who smiles at shareholders while quietly crushing competitors, in the politician who speaks of justice while negotiating betrayal in the shadows, in the influencer who sells an image of virtue while calculating every move for personal gain, and even in the lover who seduces with flattery only to manipulate the heart for advantage. And so the battlefield today is not only the city or the state but the market, the office, the algorithm, and the home, and here too the triad flourishes. For men and women remain as malleable as clay in the hands of one who understands their desires, their fears, their illusions, and it is precisely illusion that governs them most strongly. For if they believe you great, you need not even be great. Only appear so. If they believe you just, you need not be just, only wear the robe of justice. And if they fear you ruthless, they will obey without testing whether you truly are. And this is why the effective wielder of the Dark Triad knows that perception is power, action is timing, and conscience is a luxury. For when victory is at stake, conscience cannot weigh more than opportunity, and opportunity cannot wait upon hesitation. And so I say again that virtue, though praised, is rarely sufficient, for the world is not governed by saints but by actors who can play the role of saint, while serving the interests of power. And if one must choose between being loved and being feared, it is always safer to be feared, provided one avoids hatred. And here lies the delicate balance, for cruelty untempered breeds rebellion, charm without force invites betrayal, and cunning without courage dissolves into cowardice. And so the true master of the Dark Triad knows when to show the smile, and when to show the blade, when to conceal the hand and when to strike without hesitation, when to promise salvation and when to deliver destruction. For men are not constant, they are fickle, envious, ambitious, and self-serving, and he who governs them must play upon these strings as a musician upon a lyre, striking the notes that summon loyalty, fear, or awe according to the needs of the moment. And so I conclude not with a lesson of morality but of necessity, for in a world where wolves roam, the sheep who prides himself on purity is destined to be devoured, while the wolf who cloaks himself in wool, who charms with beauty, who plans with cunning, and who strikes with cruelty, he alone secures dominion. He alone bends fortune to his will, and he alone ensures that when virtue fails, victory still remains within his grasp.